In 2012, it was really like immediately after Obama evolved on the subject of gay marriage, right? Where I felt like there was a temperature change in the nation. And right after that, I used to listen to NPR a lot, naively thinking, any minute now, and they'll represent my position, honestly, I'm sure, right? False. But I felt like every media outlet at that point felt free to play the bigot card, right? Now that we've got the president on our side of the gay marriage issue, we can now demonize everybody who opposes gay marriage as bigots, haters, homophobes, whatever, right? And so, obviously, I objected to that for several reasons. The first is that just like pretty much every conservative Christian and traditional marriage supporter, I know and love lots of people who are gay, right? So obviously, my motivation for support of traditional marriage did not stem from the idea that I hated gay people or I didn't know any or I'm phobic against them, right? And one of those gay relationships is my mom. So my parents divorced when I was 10, and my dad dated and remarried, but soon after their divorce, my mom fell in love with a woman, and they've been together ever since. And they've always been a part of my life, right? I've always had a very close relationship to both my mom and my dad, thank God. You know, even after the divorce, they had a close, they were genuine friends. And so I still had access to both of my parents. I still got to benefit from the love of my mother, the love of my father, and the distinct and complementary benefits that mothering and fathering gives to children. My mom and her partner could hold a clinic on stability and commitment, right? So none of this opposition to gay marriage comes from a place of going, well, gays aren't capable, right? They're not, they don't have the ability to love. They do. They totally do, right? So it's something else. There's something else going on there. And so, but what really pushed me over the edge is what I heard the gay lobby saying is children raised in the home of two men or two women love it. And there's no difference between kids raised in same-sex headed households and kids raised in opposite sex headed households. And I was like, now you're just lying. Now you're lying. Because I've worked with kids for 20 years in youth ministry, kids that have been adopted, and there's really no pain in a child's life like the pain of being rejected by or losing or being separated from your mother or father. Even in situations where children are being raised in the home of a loving heterosexual Christian married couple, right? Those children overwhelmingly still tend to be very curious about their birth parents and often tend to feel like there must be something wrong with me that they didn't want me, right? So much of the time, except in the situation of a death, a parent abandoning them, a loss of a parent due to divorce, relinquishment at the point of adoption, it's such a deep wound that a lot of the times kids start to think, it must be because of me, right? You can talk to a lot of adopted or children of divorce and they'll say, I think that, something inside of me said it must have been my fault, right? Because it's such a primal wound. So I started blogging about this and had a very kind of angry moment, right? Where I'm like, oh, I see how it is. I see, like, it doesn't matter how much I love my gay family and friends. It doesn't matter how good my research is and my rationale is, right? It doesn't matter what my personal experience is. If I oppose this political conclusion of gay marriage, I'm a bigot, right? And everyone's like, yeah, that's right. And I'm like, okay. Well, how about I just start a blog called Ask the Bigot? And then you can ask me all your questions, right? Because obviously that must be what it is. So strangely, the URL was not taken for the title Ask the Bigot. So I started blogging at Ask the Bigot. And my point was, I'm going to be the most unbigoted person, right? I want to destroy this narrative of bigotry as being a motivation for opposition to gay marriage. I started blogging anonymously because I know the other side is crazy, right? I know. And so I was like, I'm not going to use my own name. No big deal, right? I'll let other people do that. But then, there was a gay blogger overseas who decided that I needed to be outed under the name of accountability. And so he like back searched some, I don't know how he did it, right? But there was some picture I posted, and from that he got an IP address connected to the church where my husband's a pastor, found out who my husband was, and then outed me. But not only that, published all the names and addresses of our home community leaders, right? As a way to be like, you better shut up, right? Or we're coming to get all your people. And that was terrifying. But I was like, man, this is so, looking back, I'm like, it's so classic what the enemy means for evil kind of thing. Because when I was blogging anonymously, nobody could find me. I couldn't find them. But once I was like out of the closet, people were like, hey, you want to come speak about this? Hey, you want to write this amicus brief? Hey, you want to come speak to congressmen? Right? So he meant to shut down my platform, and he really just enlarged it 100-fold.